What's going on, guys? Back in the backyard, getting you guys ready for NFL Week 10. Can you believe Week 10 is here? This is just unbelievable, guys. In this show, I'm going to talk about the optimal players to consider starting. We're talking starts and sits for each particular position. So, going to give you the optimal players at quarterback and the guys that have tougher matchups and so on and so forth. Also going to go over some latest news, some injury talk, getting you guys fully prepared for NFL Week 10. Now, I am sitting out here, guys. It's cold, it's brisk. We got some sunshine, which is warming things up, but it is a little cool out here, but I refuse to wear a jacket. Good to get some fresh air, but that is cold air, man. I could feel it, and I'm barefoot grounding myself, but it is cold. It's not like it's July again here in the Northeast, but got to do it outside once in a while. This is probably one of my last episodes outside for the season because it's just going to get too cold to be out here, okay? Guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up, drop your starts and sits questions below. I'll try to get to as many as I can. Now, let's get to this. Again, smash that thumbs up really helps the channel. These are some must starts here. Now, again, if you have a guy in a position that's got a tougher matchup, when I mention him, you still got to start him. Just because it's... Sorry, my paper's flying here. Just because it's a tougher matchup versus position doesn't mean you sit him, but you need to be aware of that, okay? So let's start off with the quarterback position. Optimal plays. Will Levis getting the start versus Tampa Bay. Great matchup. Geno Smith versus Washington. Jared Goff. Now, he is on the road, but I do love the matchup versus the Chargers. I'm starting him, starting all of my Lions players this week, including Laporta. Brock versus Jacksonville. Kyler making a return. From what I understand, guys, Call of Duty's coming out. I'm going to be playing. It comes out, I think, tomorrow. So I'm wondering if Kyler is going to be playing Call of Duty. One of my listeners messaged me about this. He's like, Kyler's going to be playing Call of Duty. It's a new release of Modern Warfare 3. So is he going to be ready to play? I don't know. Maybe he might be ready to play Call of Duty, but maybe not the game. So I question his fantasy ability for week 10 here. Just be careful, but he does have a good matchup versus Atlanta. Josh Allen versus Denver and Heineke versus Arizona, all great matchups. Now, again, I'm not saying sit these guys, but just note that they have a tougher matchup, okay? Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson, Watson versus Baltimore, and Dobbs versus New Orleans, okay? Just be aware. Could be good fantasy relevant, especially in two quarterback leagues if you want a guy like Dobbs, but tougher matchups versus position, okay? Running backs, who's got the optimal matchups here? James Cook versus Denver, great matchup. Bijan. Now, this is the week that Bijan has to break out. Now, I know Arthur Smith is getting a lot of flack, a lot of people saying, what are you doing? Now he's starting to catch up with him. He's starting to lose games. You're using Geno Smith, your backup tight end, at the goal line, getting stuffed. You're using Algier, who sucks near the goal line. I looked at the stats. I think it was like Bijan's got one goal line opportunity in like 9 weeks. It's ludicrous, or if they had a bye week in there. But either way, we're in week 10 and he has one goal line opportunity. It's crazy. So again, guys, this is crazy. Bijan's got to get going. It's not his fault. It's the coach's fault. Smith has got to be fired. And then I find out that Smith's dad was, I think, the owner of like FedEx or something like that. So he has a billionaire dad. I don't think he cares if he loses his job. This is the type of a-hole we're dealing with, guys, at coach. So Bijan, you got to free him. You got to let him run if you guys want to win. If not, you're going to keep losing, okay? And they're playing Arizona, so it's an easy matchup, but they got to use Bijan, okay? Breece Hall, great matchup. Pollard been sucking. Good matchup versus the Giants. Aaron Jones is dealing with some injuries here and there, nagging, but he is playing Pittsburgh. Good matchup coming off a good week. I don't trust him. I told you to avoid him, okay? Brian Robinson versus Seattle. Joe Mixon. Najee versus Green Bay. And Jacobs, also a good matchup. Now, guys that have it in tough, I'm not saying sit them, but just be aware they got it in tough. Christian McCaffrey. Third hardest matchup on paper. Am I saying sit him? No, he's been good. What can I tell you? The best in the game right now. One guy I was wrong on was Christian McCaffrey. Hey, he's managed to stay healthy, which is a big surprise. But either way, we'll see if it lasts all season. Eckler, tough matchup. Derrick Henry, Madison, Kamara. You can't sit these guys, but tougher matchup. Just note that. ATN versus San Fran. Jerome Ford versus Baltimore. Tough matchup. He'll be splitting with Hunt. And Barkley versus Dallas. All tough matchups versus position, but you can't sit any of these guys. I mean, the only guy you might want to consider sitting is maybe Madison if you got a better option, but you got to start him. Wide receivers, again, drop your questions below if you have any. Hopkins, good matchup. JSN, who's been coming alive a little bit. Jackson Smith, good matchup. Amon-Ra, great matchup. Okay, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson. Again, who is the wide receiver one? It's like wide receiver roulette over there. It's a disaster. But if you have Dobbs, might be worth a start versus Pittsburgh. Ridley and Kirk, another situation. Is Ridley going to get going? They do have a good matchup against, the corners there for this week, okay? Just be aware, guys. Again, San Francisco corner is not as good as their rush defense. So Ridley, Kirk, could be a Ridley week. It could be a Kirk week. Nobody really knows, and it sucks. What can I tell you? Mike Evans, Drake London, Ayuk, Olave, Terry McLaurin, all good matchups. Guys that have it in tough. Devontae Adams, who's bitter and disgruntled, and a waste of a first-round pick. Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, all busting this year. Injuries count. Everything counts here. Guys, all first-round picks busting. You guys are harping on me on Bijan. Yes, Bijan was crap in the bed, but it's a coach's fault. It is what it is. It's still a bust. But look at all these wide receivers in the first round that are crap in the bed. Cooper Kupp, he's had 3 weeks under 7 points in PPR. It's brutal, okay? So, again, Adams got in tough versus the Jets. Cooper, Chase, Zay Flowers, who's been like cold lately. Garrett Wilson, Deontay, you got to start him. He's been pretty decent, but tougher matchup. And Addison with a new quarterback under center, but tougher matchup. Just note that, okay? Let's go to tight end. Tight end, I'm going to say it, I sound like a broken record. I don't care. Start your consistent tight end. I'm starting Laporta. Laporta does not sit. Kincaid, love him this week. Great matchup versus Denver. George Kittle and Hawkins name the optimal matchup. Some guys that have it in tough. Andrews versus Cleveland, Musgrave versus Pitts, Cade Otton coming off a hot week, got it in tougher versus Tennessee, and Jake Ferguson. But you're not going to sit Cade Otton if you got him and you don't have a better option. You're not going to sit Jake Ferguson. You're going to start them, okay? Defenses to start, okay? Optimal matchups, some to stream here, some might not be available in the league, but good matchups. Cowboys, Seattle versus Washington, Falcons versus Arizona. But again, we don't know what Kyler we're going to get. Kyler Murray could be playing Call of Duty the night before, could crap the bed, coming in rusty. Who knows? But Falcons, good matchup on paper. Bills versus Denver, Packers versus Pittsburgh, Lions versus Chargers, Washington versus Seattle, and Jets versus Vegas. All decent matchups, okay? Start them. Now, let's talk about some injuries here. Again, nothing really to highlight or mention here. Again, this is as of Friday, but Keaton Mitchell, hammy was limited. T. Higgins did not participate in practice on Thursday. Hammy. James Conner set to return with his knee, was limited in practice weeks. Amari DeMarcado, toe, did not participate on Thursday. Cooper dealing with an ankle injury, limited. KJ Osborne was dealing with that concussion, might be questionable to start depending if he's coming out of protocol, okay? So, you guys know who your starters are. Now, typically in leagues, guys, when you have like a platform, whatever platform you're on, it tells you if that player's injury prone or in injury or whatever it is, and you got to swap them out. So make sure you guys do start the right people. Do not start a person that's going to be limited or potentially not going to be starting. Make sure you start the right people. Starts and sits is crucial here, and can you believe it or not, week 10, all right? So there you have it, guys. Your optimal starts, guys, with tougher matchups. Start the guys that have been consistent for you guys, the volume getters, the guys that are healthy, right? At this point, you should know your team very well. Start the right people, all right? Drop your questions below, smash thumbs up, and good luck in week 10. Lion mentality. I'm out.